Hi there. I have read your final drafts of your integrated literature reviews today and have given you feedback in the rubric and on your paper in Blackboard. It is important that you go back in and read the feedback that you were given in detail to make sure that if there are any process errors or citation errors, that those things can be fixed prior to doing your digital poster. So much of what is in your paper from a concept standpoint is going to be transferred over to that poster. So if you have significant errors, you're going to want to correct those as you transfer things over to your poster. If you have things that need to be corrected on your final draft of your paper, I don't need to see it again. But I do want you to fix things that were in error. The big things were properly citing sources. So if you had a statement, let's say that you made the statement, let me think. The study showed that simulation was more effective at increasing student knowledge related to skills at the bedside. Okay. So if you have a statement in your paper that says the study showed that simulation is more effective at knowledge acquisition for bedside nursing, then you would need to cite that because you've said the studies show. When you say the studies, it means plural, so you should be using a combined in-text citation. Many of you found common themes in your research, so those themes, each time you reference the findings in your article, need to have proper citation. This can feel very tedious, especially in an integrative literature review where you feel like, okay, I've already said that they said that. Why do I have to keep saying that they said that? Because that's APA formatting and it's properly citing your sources. This is especially important if you're citing findings that are not common knowledge. To say that there is that nurses are one of the most trusted professions in the United States, that's common knowledge. That doesn't need a citation. But if you say that 1 in every 4 nurses in the state of Virginia are registered nurses, that is a very detailed, specific fact that needs a citation. One of the things I saw several of you struggling with was, when do I put a citation and how do I place it? Citations need to be specific to what is being reported by you, and they need to follow directly behind what they're referencing. So, as you move forward into into your digital poster, I just want to remind you, make sure that what lands on your digital poster is properly cited. You're going to find that there's a section on your poster that is set aside for references. If that is not adequate, let's say you use lots of references on your poster and that's not adequate, put a comment in that section that says, please see reference list handout. And you're going to make a handout of the references that you've cited on your poster. However you want to handle it, just make sure that your references are, that your content is properly cited and that your references are properly referenced either in that bottom box or in its own reference sheet. Entirely up to you how you want to handle it. The other area that I saw some opportunity for improvement was how to manage abstracts. Papers of this length and this complexity and research base should all have an abstract. Your abstract should say, this is the phenomenon or problem I'm looking at. This is why it matters. This is how I looked at it, and this is what I found. And you're going to do that in about 250 words using APA Magic in formatting. The idea with an abstract is to allow folks to do exactly what you did when you were doing your integrative literature review, which is thumb through abstracts and be able to find out, is this relevant to me? Did they find something important that I want to read more about? The idea isn't to lure your audience in. The idea is to tell them what's in there in a succinct and concise manner. And some of you did that really well. Some of you started off, but I think the area that I saw many of you not fully covering was your findings. It's almost like you wanted it to be a surprise at the ending. Put it in your abstract. It all needs to be there. The other thing to remember is your abstract is always going to be prior to the beginning of your paper. So if you use abbreviations in your abstract, you need to define them in the abstract. Sometimes this can get overlooked because your abstract is almost always the last thing you write. So you've written an entire paper, you put it in all your abbreviations, then you write your abstract and put in abbreviations there, and you think, well, I've already put it in my paper. But in the order of things, the first time it shows up, it needs to be defined. So make sure that any abbreviations that are used in an abstract are properly defined, and then you go back in your paper and remove the definition in the first time it shows up in a paper. I realize that you all are not going to be writing a formal paper in the next couple of weeks. Graduate school at the doctoral level may be looking into your future, but these are things that you can file away and remember. Remember, if you do not have this book, you need to have this book. Even if you are ending your practice, if you are in the role of a nurse educator, your students should be using the APA manual, which means you need to be an APA expert, or as close as you can get over time. So if you don't own this book, you need to get this book, and it should be nicely flagged and tagged like mine is. Okay. All right, we've covered this week. Let's talk about next week. Your practicum log number 3, make sure you have gone through your time log and that your time log is properly reconciled, that your 200 hours are properly apportioned to the right courses, and that the totals are properly rolled up. Once you've done your time log and everything is balanced, then you're going to do your final practicum log. Make sure you integrate any changes that were recommended in part 1 and part 2. This practicum log should be quick and easy. The last thing you're going to do is your digital poster, and I've talked a little bit about this over the past few weeks, so I won't belabor the point. The important thing to remember is that your assignment instructions and your rubric provide you the guidelines of exactly the required sections. I want to remind you that you should not be copying and pasting chunks of paragraph. It's okay to use small sections. Bullet points are highly desired. Make it organized and easy to read. That center section that right now looks like a blank canvas should not be blank when you turn that in. That section is reserved to put in graphs, tables, meaningful data that you used in your analysis, and this may be something that you'll create in your own table formats. It may be something that you locate online. Just make sure you properly cite it. This should not be something that you drop a single picture in and stretch it as far as the edge of that open space is, and then walk away and go, got it. That section should be used for meaningful information and content that fully supports and supplements the sections that are covered in your poster. So be very careful in how you approach that. Be creative. Be ingenuitive. Think about, okay, I've given all these required sections. What else can I tell my reader that they may find interesting? Many of you, if not most of you, have been to poster presentations, and you've walked by posters and thought, wow, I really got to go look at this because it's interesting. It's well laid out. It's easy to follow. And then you've walked by posters and you thought, okay, this isn't very well done. If it was thrown together like this, then they probably aren't as attentive to detail, and you keep moving. Or worse yet, I think I mentioned this a couple of weeks ago, they are scientific posters. There are no pictures. There are no graphs. All the tables are like in 8 font, and there are like dozens and dozens all over the poster. My husband does the regulatory work, and I have seen several of his posters that he's done with colleagues, and there's no way I would even remotely try to read those things. You have the blessing of not having to do an overly scientific poster, so have fun with this. The aesthetics matter as much, maybe not as much, almost as much as the content, because if people don't see your poster as aesthetic, they're not going to stop and read it, so the content doesn't matter. So make a pretty door for them to walk through. Touch base if you have questions or concerns. I realize that you are within a hair's breadth of being done with your master's degree, and that you are ready for this to be over. Please know that I value your feedback. Please do your course evaluations. If there are concerns about this course that you would make recommendations, I welcome that feedback. If something has gone really well, I welcome that feedback. The only way that this course gets polished and improved is through your critical appraisal of the process and the course. So I would be appreciative if you took the time to do that. Everything needs to be in by Friday. If you have questions or concerns, know that I am here. I am praying for you. It is July 4th week, which is always, it's funny how this week 8 almost always lands in this week, so you almost feel like you have less and less time. My hope is that you have worked ahead. Questions or concerns, touch base with me. If you use the Ask the Professor link for general, how do I do, where do I find, personal things, send to me. I hope you all have a blessed and safe July 4th. Please know if you're a member of the armed forces, or you are the significant other of a member of the armed forces. Please, accept my gratitude and my thanks for the service that you've done. Um, this country is the best of the best, and the reason we are great is because there are so many brave men and women who are taking care of our national security and keeping us safe, and allowing us to have the freedom that we have. So if you have the privilege of loving someone who is serving our country or has served our country, please give them a squeeze for me and say thank you. And if you're the one keeping the home fires burning so someone can serve, I'm grateful for that sacrifice. We know how hard it is when our loved ones have to be away, even when it's doing something important. So bless you all. Touch base and let me know how you are. Have a great rest of the week. Take care.